Hello, I'm Margaret McAllister, and today we're going to be talking about crowdfunding. So we'll move and start with the first slide. And crowdfunding is a new emergent model of entrepreneurship that developed out of the tradition of crowdsourcing, or drawing on the expertise and contribution of a large group of people to complete a task. The idea of crowdfunding then extends this notion to investing. In a crowdfunding approach, instead of looking at the traditional investors, the entrepreneur turns to the public at large. Through the cumulative benefit of many small contributions from individuals who feel that an idea is worth pursuing, crowdfunding allows an entrepreneur to potentially avoid being beholden to large stakeholders and corporate whims, instead more directly serving the needs and interests of the public at large. While this sounds ideal, it isn't a simple process. And gaining the necessary support and momentum is easier said than done. After all, it takes thousands of supporters with small contributions to generate the kind of capital that even one large investor could provide. This video provides an overview of some key aspects of crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is an increasingly prominent force in the world of entrepreneurship, but it's also for many a world apart from traditional investment and requires a significantly different approach. No longer are you trying to appeal to corporate investors primarily interested in the kind of fiscal return they'll get. Instead, you're asking the general public to invest in your venture. So perhaps general sales expertise is what you need? Maybe, but crowdfunding isn't just selling either, because in most cases you don't have an actual product yet. So you don't just need to convince people they want to buy your product. You need to convince them that your product is valuable enough to them for them to support its creation. Oh, and on top of that, you need them to trust you to actually do it once you have their money. Thus, it's important to understand what makes crowdfunding tick, to understand whether or not you should consider it for your project. So we are going to now move to the second slide, and we're going to be talking about the different crowdfunding models. So crowdfunding is primarily done through the internet using certain technical platforms designed explicitly for this purpose. Through the internet, it's possible to interact with a huge number of diverse people and draw together like-minded supporters from a massive geographic region. The internet also offers significant advantages to advertising through venues such as social media. This has given rise to a variety of technical platforms and models in crowdfunding. We are going to now move to the third slide, and we will look at the first model, which is called a one-time pledge. The traditional, a word I use lightly considering the newness of crowdfunding as a whole, approach to crowdfunding uses a one-time rewards-based payment model. Under this model, a creator establishes the nature and scope of the project, sets the goals, and collects a one-time payment from supporters. Goals represent the amount of money the campaign seeks to achieve, and different goals are often tied to various aspects of the resulting product. For example, a creator might set a goal of $10,000 to create the product, but add additional features if their campaign raises $15,000, $20,000, etc. Many crowdfunding projects also offer their supporters a reward based on the amount pledged to the project. For example, those pledging at least $10 might receive a copy of the product. Those pledging $20 might, if appropriate, receive a signed copy of the product. And those pledging much higher might receive more extensive rewards, such as the opportunity to be involved in some aspect of the product's design. This can be a powerful model for developing a single discrete project, and it has seen successful supplication in many fields. We are now going to go to the fourth slide, and this is the second model we're going to be talking about, and that is reoccurring pledge. So this model involves reoccurring pledges which may be made on a one per time or per creation basis. This model, which is developed to support entrepreneurship in the creative arts, is generally the creators who continually produce content or products as opposed to trying to create a single large project. Some common applications of this model include video content for platforms like YouTube or artistic work. This model uses a similar notion of goals and rewards to that of the first model, except that both goals and rewards tend to be recurring. Thus, a goal might be to create an extra video per month if the creators reach a total pledge count of 500 per month. Basic supporters, in addition to assessing the content, might be given an exclusive news feed or early access, while more significant supporters might be given input on the creative process. One strong advantage of this model is that it requires less long-term trust on the part of the supporters, because creators using this model are constantly creating content to prove the value of their work. Okay, we will now move to the fifth slide, and we're going to talk about the third model, which is equity-based. So the idea of equity-based crowdfunding is very similar to that of rewards-based crowdfunding, especially the first model with a simple pledge. However, it represents an entrepreneurial expansion of the model from products to entire companies. Thus, in this model of crowdfunding, the supporters are either absorbing debt or creating venture capital for a full company. Accordingly, the rewards in the equity model are equity in the company. In this case, the supporters more fully fill the role of a traditional investor, but distribute this role over a large group. Alternatively, equity-based crowdfunding may be used to supplement the support of a large single investor rather than entirely replace it. Regardless, this sort of crowdfunding is less pronounced in entrepreneurship and is more likely to be adopted following a successful rewards-based crowdfunding. Okay, we will now move to the sixth slide, and we are going to look at examples of crowdfunding platforms. There are a wide variety of platforms available for running a crowdfunding campaign. Many of these are specialized for certain fields, such as technology or video games, while others are very general and include many categories of content. This list is not exhaustive, but it considers some of the major platforms. So the first one is Kickstarter, and it is arguably the most prominent crowdfunding platform for reward-based crowdfunding. Kickstarter is a public benefit corporation based in the United States and follows the single pledge model of crowdfunding. Projects on Kickstarter are primarily creative works. The site does not support business, causes, or charities. However, businesses may still create campaigns to support the development of a specific product. The next platform is Indiegogo. This is another single pledge crowdfunding platform. However, it has much looser restrictions, allowing almost any kind of donation-based campaigns. It does not, however, allow businesses or so-called equity-based crowdfunding to be hosted. There's also another one called GoFundMe, and this represents an even more open approach to crowdfunding, allowing people to raise money for essentially any events in their lives. Thus, it represents a particularly broad but less entrepreneurial approach to the crowdfunding model. Another one is Crowdfunder. This is an equity-based crowdfunding platform, meaning that it allows supporters to invest in a company for company equity or stock rather than for rewards. Crowdfunder is a leader in equity-based crowdfunding and has helped many businesses to achieve significant success through the creation of crowdsourced venture capital. Patreon, like Kickstarter, is a crowdfunding site for creative endeavors. Therefore, it uses a rewards-based approach and allows only creative projects, not charities or businesses. However, unique among the major crowdfunding platforms, Patreon uses the recurring pledge model, enabling it to better support entrepreneurship for creative artists who are more likely to continuously create content over time rather than engage in a single discrete project. Although Patreon does not adopt the crowdfunding label due to the different model, it still technically qualifies due to representing a way of crowdsourcing funding. Another one is AngelList Republic, and this is an equity-based crowdfunding platform which developed out of the startup platform AngelList. Thus, while dedicated to the creation of venture capital through equity-based crowdfunding, this platform has a particular consideration for entrepreneurial ventures. And there are others. This list by far is far from exhaustive. There are indeed thousands of crowdfunding platforms worldwide as of 2017. Many of these are specialized in some ways, but whether a project would be better served by a general or specific crowdfunding venue is something that should be determined on a case-by-case basis. Though both equity-based and rewards-based models offer entrepreneurial opportunities, rewards-based likely offers more potential for starting something totally new, while equity-based crowdfunding serves to replace traditional investors, but still uses the traditional modeling of investing. Now we are going to move to the 7th slide, and I'm going to discuss some examples of crowdfunding projects. So a rewards-based single pledge example. A successful example from this video game industry would be Bloodstained, Ritual of the Night. In this project, developer Koji Igarashi, famed for his creation of the Castlevania series, gathered a total of $5.5 million from over 63,000 supporters through Kickstarter toward the goal of creating a new game in the tradition of Castlevania. Igarashi drew on his existing fame as a creator to create a platform for this game and to give his supporters a solid reason to both want the product and to feel that they could trust him to deliver the product they wanted. Once the game is completed, while many backers will receive a copy of as a campaign reward, the resulting product will be sold commercially. A rewards-based recurring pledge example, one successful example in this case would be creator Dave Jones, who received $3,572 per month on Patreon for creating educational videos on engineering, and has released over 700 videos since 2009. This creator ranks highly among the most successful creator in Patreon science category, although this category in itself is one of the smaller ones. By comparison, Kurgast, in a nutshell, a high-earning creator representing a 10-person company in the television and video category, makes $29,644 a month. Then there's the equity-based. The front page of Crowdfunder features many projects financed through the site, many with millions of dollars worth of investments. An example would include iCam, a firm developing a new wearable smartphone design. As of the end of May in 2017, the firm had a goal of $500,000 and had successfully raised over $3 million in venture capital. And others. Thus, crowdfunding is clearly an approach that can create many successful projects. These examples represent only a very small sample of those in existence. Kickstarter alone reports having 1.9 billion in pledges from 9.4 million supporters to fund $257,000 projects in 2014, while Patreon notes that the average amount per support paid to creators through Patreon each month surpasses the average amount paid by users of Netflix or Amazon Prime as of 2016. Crowdfunding clearly does work under the right circumstances. Now we're going to look at the 8th slide, and I am going to discuss the legislative impact. So, certain legislation has been necessary in the development of crowdsourcing industry, specifically the equity-based crowdfunding side. Rewards-based crowdfunding is generally handled in the same way as any other type of income, regardless of whether the creator is a private individual or a company. However, equity-based crowdfunding represents an unconventional approach to much more highly regulated world of investment and venture capital. It was the Jobs Act of 2012 that first paved the way for equity-based crowdfunding to come into existence in the United States, establishing federal regulations on investment crowdfunding. However, some states have found that these regulations less than compelling and sought to institute their own. An example of this is part of the PACES Act that was recently passed in North Carolina. The state created an exemption from registration for intrastate offerings under North Carolina securities law for crowdfunding investments. This exception was specifically tailored to allow local businesses to more easily engage in crowdfunding opportunities in order to give small and medium enterprises in the context of North Carolina better access to capital for developing or growing businesses. But of course, the federal regulations do take precedence, and another part of the PACES Act mandated that the Secretary of State take the necessary measures to ensure compliance and compatibility with the federal crowdfunding legislation. Given the highly regulated nature of investing, it is likely that equity-based crowdfunding will see continuing legislative development going forward. We will now look at the 9th slide, and basically to summarize, crowdfunding, both rewards-based and equity-based, represents a strong potential source of capital for entrepreneurship. Whether developing a new product or seeking venture capital to grow your business in new ways, crowdfunding is worth consideration, but is not an appropriate venue for all projects. Take care to consider how well this model might suit your business before trying to engage with it. Thank you for your time today.